Hello, guys. It's Psychosis again, and today, as you can probably tell by the title, I'm giving you another book review. This time, I'm just talking overall about a series that I read a lot during my middle school, high school years, and that is the Artemis Fowl series, which is about 8 books. There's a lot of books, and yeah, I first read them in middle school, like I said. And I got my friend hooked on to them as well. Me and my friend were just hooked on the series when we were younger. And I have finally after got all the 8 books. I used to have to read from the library. It took forever, but to read them all because of that. But yeah, but today, since I know the series a lot, I decided to review it because the last time I read this was about 2 semesters ago. Yeah, so last summer, but I read the series so much, I have a really good understanding of it. And yeah, so today I'll be reviewing the series overall, not just the individual books. Which, speaking of it, which if I were to rank them, the later half is the later series books, especially the last three, are not really the best. The later books are not as great as the earlier ones, in my opinion. But yeah. And anyways, I just wanted to review them today. And yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, and the thing with the series is reading it again. Last time I read it and thinking about it, the series is both better and worse than I remembered it. Like, there's a lot of cool, good things about this series, but there's also a lot of like things in the series that I didn't like or I didn't catch on when I was younger, and maybe that's why, because this book series is written for a younger audience than my age, and I just wanted to talk about it because it's always been near and dear to me since my middle school years when I first came across the first book randomly in a library, sat down and read it. But yeah. And yeah, first off is the world. Like, the world of this book series is really cool. I think that is probably the second or third best aspect of this book series is the world, as it takes place in the modern day, but it's juxtaposed between the human world, which is like our modern day society, and the world of the fairies and the fairy races. Because in this universe, there's like fairies and stuff, they're real, but they're not as like the magical, sparkly, glittery things of you think of when you think of fairies. So there's like elves, yeah, there's elves, dwarves, pixies, goblins, trolls, but they're way different. And they have a society that lives underground, and it's like opposite ours. It's like really advanced. Like, they're way more technologically advanced. They live underground, as thousands of years ago they were forced to live underground because of humans. It's a pretty cool world, honestly. And later on in the series, they do get to expand the author, Eoin Colfer. I forgot to mention this book series written by Eoin Colfer. And here's the first book. And yeah, and it's also fun. I think he's Irish because there's a lot of like references to Ireland. Like, the main character is Irish and he lives in Ireland, and they talk a lot about how magical the place is and stuff. And it's pretty cool. I honestly love the world of this series. I love how it's like mixed between modern day and highly advanced super technology. And it's goofy because you think fairies, they're magical creatures, and they are still magical, but they rely more on technology and they're way more advanced than humans. And there is magic, and the magic system of this book is actually really cool as well. There's a lot of like rules and stuff and limitations that the magic has. So like the magical abilities that the fairies can use, they're more like support abilities or things that assist them. They're not really like powerful unless they get like supercharged, which happens to the villain in one of the books, but it requires a lot of like energy. There's a lot of like basis on like reality with that. Like, there's limitations on the energy. They have to replenish energy, and they have like a ritual for that. It's pretty cool. And yeah, so the magic's really cool. And then the fairies also, see, they have a language called Nomish, and this is what the writing is like. And no one knows how to speak the language except for the main character. He learns how to do it after hijacking a book from a actual fairy. And that's kind of where the book series starts. So it starts off with the main character, Artemis Fowl. He's like this overly intelligent criminal mastermind kid. He's like, mind you, in this book, he's the first book, he's like 12 years old, but he's like overly intelligent. Like it's insane. And he gets obsessed with fairies, and he wants to find a fairy because he wants to steal his gold. And that's the basis of the book. So he learns the language, learns everything he can about the fairies. Because, yeah, he hijacks like their fairy Bible, basically, from this like fairy who doesn't give a care about it anymore. And so then he steals a fairy, and it leads to the whole hostage situation, and he gets some gold from it. It's pretty good. That's the plot of this first book. And then later on in the later books, like the second one, the third one, fourth one, etc., he befriends the fairies, and he actually makes friends with them, and they start liking him more, and they go on like more adventures and stuff. It's pretty fun in that regard. And the characters are fun. They are fun characters, I will say. But one of the biggest flaws of this book series is also the characters, but I will get to that. And yeah, because you have Artemis Fowl, the main character. He's this arrogant, overly intelligent kid and criminal mastermind who takes over his father's criminal enterprise after he disappears. And that's kind of the rest of the book. He's so obsessed with becoming rich and pulling off crazy heists and stealing things and stuff. And like I said, he's really intelligent. He's really good at planning things. And then he has his bodyguard who's just known for the whole book as Butler. He's like really strong. He's like this kind of like Eastern European guy. And then his sister also is really strong and kind of like a guard as well. Who protects Artemis Fowl's family. And then the fairy characters are also pretty fun. So there's Holly Shore, who's like the captain of like the LEP. The LEP's like the police force of the fairies. And then there's Foley, who's like a centaur. He's like the computer nerd who helps them out in all their adventures. And then they also befriend a dwarf named Mulch Diggums. I know, on the nose, that name. And yeah, and the dwarves are pretty cool and goofy because they eat dirt and then they just instantly poop it out. It's kind of gross, but also really funny, and they're just really good at tunneling. So their whole biology is based around tunneling. It's kind of cool. And yeah, there's also Commander Root as well. I won't spoil what happens to him though. He kind of dies later in the series, and yeah, and that's kind of the gist of the characters. There's also a little demon they befriend in the fifth book, who calls himself N Degree One. And he's an alright character. He used to be my favorite character of the series, but not anymore. N Degree One. After I reread it, I'm not really into his character as much, and he also has like no place. Honestly, after the fifth book, the author kind of just threw like the wayside and briefly mentions him, and yeah. And the characters are fun, but that also leads to the worst part of this book, is that the characters themselves. Because while they're fun, I'd say they're all like Mary Sue characters. Because it's like throughout the book, it's like every threat they face, it's like they're like the Mary Sue version of what their caricature is. So like, Mulch is an amazing digger, Artemis Fowl is overly intelligent, or intelligent as own good, Holly Shorts can do no wrong. And then Butler is overly strong, like he almost has like inhuman strength at times. Like in the first book alone, he freaking almost kills a troll on his own. And it's just things like that. And then the book tries to present they're in danger and stuff, but they solve it, and it's always through luck or just their own abilities, but it feels like it's so easily planned and stuff, and it's just frustrating. I think that's kind of why in my books that I've started writing, my character, despite having plot armor, gets absolutely wrecked by the world that he's in. Because of that reason, I do not like characters where I just sort of like everything comes easy to them. And that's the problem with this book. But also, the best thing is the characters. But yeah, Well, first, yeah, but the best part, yeah, and the villain also, she's not the best. She's super naive, Opal Boy. She's like this pixie, and she's comically silly, kind of like a young. Because I mean, this book's kind of meant for young adults. It really shows, especially in Opal Boy. She's super naive. She's supposed to be intelligent, even more smarter than Artemis, but she comes off really stupid because of her naivety. Just really dumb character. Like her decisions just make no sense, and and because of that, a lot of Artemis's plans to save the day result in him just doing trickery with her because she's just so naive she can't even see what's going on like from a mile away. It's just like, oh my. Yeah, and she tries to seem all evil, but she really doesn't. She just has that kind of young adult feel to it where they're not that bad. And it kind of my interest in the series wanes because of that. But that also leads to the best thing. Honestly, I think the best part of the book, besides the world, is Artemis Fowl's character development. Eoin Colfer did an amazing job with the character development of Artemis Fowl. He becomes, because he's like a really detestable character in the first book, but as the series goes along, he becomes less arrogant. He becomes more caring and more of like a hero, and he starts wanting to do bad things. And I thought that was like really good. Like it has a common theme about the books, and he starts thinking about his actions more and feeling guilt and regret for them, things like that. And I really like that. It was a really awesome thing because it's like there's the book has so much flaws of the books, and then yeah, and then he becomes like a better character in the end and then it all culminates at the end of the book, last book, which was not the best in the series, but it's not the worst either. Like I said earlier, the later part of the series really blows. So from these last three books, which I'm not really a fan of this title, these covers, but these last three books are not really the best. And this one are probably, in my opinion, my two least favorite in the series, the sixth and the seventh one. This is probably my least favorite, but they're just not as great. And this one gets confusing. It's like a time paradox, basically, hence the name, time paradox. They go back in time and stuff. It and put basically makes you learn the whole book series is in a loop because of that. It's kind of dumb. Time travel stories are not really the greatest, and the whole series kind of just like suffers because of that as well. But yeah, but like the first four books I thought were really great, and the fifth book used to be my favorite one. I'm not sure anymore. And the fifth book's kind of fun because it has like demons and there's more emphasis on magic, and they go to their world of Hybris, and it's like in limbo, and it's kind of cool. It's like a moon base chunk of the moon. It's really cool. But yeah, so yeah, I'd say overall this series is about this series is about I give a 6 out of 10. It's a good series. I still like the series. It just has, now that I'm older, I see there's a lot of flaws with it, and its young adult edge really sticks out to me more, and it's kind of why I don't enjoy it as much. But there are funny parts. I always remember it was they're funny books, but they're just not as funny as I remembered either. But yeah, I'd say 6 out of 10. Good series, but not amazing. And the later half of the series is not as great as the first half. Like the first three, four books are my favorite ones. Like the first three especially feel really strong, and I think that's also because the author wanted it'd only be a trilogy, but he ended up writing 8. But yeah, that is my review for Artemis Fowl series. Pretty good series looking back, but it flawed. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it. If there's a book you want me to read, just let me know in the comments, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.